Hello and welcome to Brimwood Farm, and it's October. Where on earth has the year gone? You can kind of tell from the light changes through September, and now obviously we're into October. That light in the day has that slight change to it, so you can tell, and there's also a breeze in the air. But this is the one day when it's actually stopped raining this week, so it's time for me to get outside and do some of the chores. Now I'm down in the veggie patch, and as you know, I showed you last time, we've had some issues with the veggies. So our lovely kale, we only have 3 plants left. 1, 2, 3, and it's because they've been absolutely eviscerated by flea beetle and by wood lice. And if you come out here in the evenings, this is just covered in wood lice, so you can see just how devastating it's been. Now I have sowed some more in the house, so I've got some more baby kale coming on, and I'm gonna grow them on to be a lot larger before I put them out. The rest of this bed is doing well. We've got just some beetroot greens in the middle, some chicory here because there's all of this is chicory, but I just had some extra plants to put it in here. The lettuces are doing well. Now these are not overwintering lettuces, so these are summer lettuces, so as soon as we get a frost these are going to die off, but we're getting to the stage now where we've got some nice leaves on them, so we will be able to take these leaves off and use them until we have that first frost. And I'm going to cover this bed in a cloche as well, and I'm just going to grow these for as long as I can before they really just get killed off by the winter. I've got a few beans. Again, these were really late to put in, really late, and there's a few little bean pods on here. This was kind of an experiment to fill this gap, but there's a few. There's probably 1 meal's worth. And then again over here we've got some more lettuces. Again, they're not overwintering lettuces. Our carrots are still fine, and then we've got some radishes, and again the radishes have been absolutely mutilated by the flea beetle, by caterpillars, and by wood lice. So I was kind of thinking to myself, what is going to kill these in an organic way? What's getting them? Flea beetles, wood lice, caterpillars. And what do all of those have in common? They're all insects. They all have soft parts to their bodies. And I suddenly thought, what about diatomaceous earth? You can use it on chickens to kill lice, so why not around the beds? And it has worked to an extent. Now obviously, because we've had the rain, you can see this was the powder, and the rain has made it clumped. But I've got some more powder here, and what I've been doing is I've just been sprinkling it around the edges of the bed, and it really has worked to keeping numbers down. Now I'm only putting it around vulnerable plants, so they haven't gone near any of this chicory, so there's no point wasting it on that. So I'm just putting it around this bed. Actually I might just put some across and make a little barrier, see if this works, and I'll come out tonight and have another look. But when I did this last time, it did greatly reduce the numbers. Now obviously that's going to stop wood lice. That's not necessarily going to stop flea beetle, because the name is in the hint is in the name. It's a flea beetle, so it jumps, so it can jump over that, but it might reduce it a little bit. The spinach haven't really been got. They've been a little bit gnawed on this edge, but not massively. And then the other things that really got taken, hello girls, were these radishes. So I'm going to just put a little bit along here. Now that's a little bit harder because the radish leaves are kind of all over the place. And again with the radishes, because you're looking at a root crop, it's not quite as, oh look at that, there's a nice little colony of aphids in there on this. Let's pull this out. Girls, do you want something? You gonna eat that? Or are you gonna come to it later? Come on, you want some? Everything but. Look at them, they're so funny. These are my buff laced, by the way, that I'm breeding, that colour variety. So you can see they've got quite a lot of buff. This front hen was the hen that originally had a big red, sort of a red coloured head, and she's, after her first molt, she actually molted it off. But you can still, there's still a lot of buff colour in them, and we're going to restart that project with a vengeance next year when we've got more space. They are nowhere near show silkies. They're not fluffy enough. They haven't got big enough. They've got too big crests rather. But I'm not obviously breeding them for show. I'm breeding them to try and get this new colour. And then when I get the new colour properly sort of into the strain, I'll then probably go and buy a show quality silky male and breed his characteristics into them. But obviously this also isn't a recognised colour, so they wouldn't win any rosettes. So it's just for fun. But anyway, I'm going to finish off doing this. Put some down here. You can see again these lettuces haven't been touched. So it is only certain crops. Cabbages, horrendous as well. So anything in the brassica family they love. It's no wonder my garden is a mess, because the beds are just getting flicked out everywhere. But you know what, they're happy hens, so I'm going to let them do their thing, because they really do deserve to be out and about and scratching. And this is a good time of year also for them to get out. This bed is pretty redundant. There's not a lot in it really anymore, because I've been digging this bed up and putting it away into pots to grow on for when we move. So I'm quite happy for them to dig over this bed. Maybe less so the path, which I can feel them doing behind me. You having fun down there? Now, something else I need to attend to today is the quail, and I need to clean them out. Obviously, cleaning out is much nicer when it's not raining. So as you know, here is my setup down here. My rabbit hutches and my quail are down here. So though there are many benefits of quail on the homestead, and I've done a video on that before and I'll link that up top, they are super messy. So they were cleaned out 5 days ago, and you can already see, hello, you can already see what a mess they've made. I feed them with a normal bottle, but you must put something like this. This is just a pet for aviary birds. Cup underneath, because as they drink you can see all the water comes out, and otherwise this ends up absolutely soaked. But in just 4 days you can see how much they've stamped it down, and also the other problem with this is they kick a lot of the shavings out, so I have to do this twice a week, which is not ideal by any means. And obviously if I had a mesh floor it would be easier, and I also have to go over and just check all their toes, because if you've kept quail you will know quail get little clogs of poop on their toes as well. That's very, very common, and you just need to take them into your kitchen and just soak them in some water for a little bit, and then take it off gradually. The other thing I must say about that is quail toenails are so fragile, so do not try and rip the pieces of mud off the toes, because you will rip their toenails off with it. So really do it quite carefully. So right, let's get these guys nice and clean. So just before I begin, one tip I use for all cleaning out any hutches or chicken perches, anything like that, wallpaper scrapers. They are, I mean, they're brilliant, and they make such a difference. If you go in with here with just a brush, it's going to take me forever. If I go in with a scraper, I can literally just scrape this off, brush it out, and then apply fresh. nice and clean. And oh, look at that. Got a fresh egg already. And they do sometimes lay these ones without any kind of pattern on. Quails lay, so they are seasonal layers depending on the hours of daylight. So also as we go into winter, they're going to stop laying. So I'm now collecting all the eggs I can to put into the incubator ahead of winter, because we won't have any eggs through the winter months at all. So I want to grow as many chicks as I can. And also, you need to come out as well. We have a few females who are much loved, and they get to this sort of point. There's 2 or 3 girls like this, so I take them out, I keep them in a cat box for a week, and after a week normally this is all grown back and then they come back in. So I'm going to pop her into a cat box, and I'm going to pop this with all the others ready to go into the incubator. There is something so satisfying about cleaning things out, and I know that in 24 hours it's going to look like I didn't even bother, but just for now I'm going to enjoy the neat and clean aspect of those quail. For the keen-eyed of you, by the way, you might have noticed that I've got a little bit of a mark on my forehead, and I would love to tell you that this happened from livestock, from being pecked by a chicken or kicked in the head by a cow or something at work, but I'm afraid it was as stupid and mundane as me walking into a signpost. My colleagues had much amusement as they heard this massive bang, turned around, and I was lying on the floor. It did bleed a lot. It's fine now, but yeah, I'm good. It's a reminder not to walk into that signpost again, although I also did it last month, so I don't know. This week I've been having mistakes all over the place. If you have enjoyed the video, please hit the thumbs up button and consider subscribing. If you're on Facebook, come over and join us at Brimwood Farm's community group. But I have just felt the first few drops of rain, so I'm going to scurry off down the garden, clean the rest of the chickens out, and then get inside for a nice warm cuppa. Bye bye for now.